You are now tuned in to the Addicted to Success.com podcast, where geniuses, entrepreneurs, and next-level game changers share their juicy little secrets on achieving massive success. This is the advice you wish you heard years ago. Be prepared and take note as we expose the realness and the raw of what it takes to be successful on Addicted to Success.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Addicted to Success podcast. I'm your host, Joel Brown. So before we get into this interview, I just wanted you to know that I have officially launched my new continuity month-by-month mentorship program called Elevate. And once you apply, you then land in the 10-year vision game plan arena where I teach you how to cast a powerful 10-year vision. I mean, the vision is everything. The vision is what I casted 7 years ago with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, which has given me so much power, that has really given me so much clarity and confidence in my life to achieve all the incredible things that I've been able to achieve and to connect with some of the most inspiring people in this world. So if you would love to learn how to create a powerful 10-year vision so that you can achieve massive success, make sure you head over to iamjoelbrown.com/vision and apply today, and I will see you in there. I'll take you under my wing month by month, year by year. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Addicted to Success podcast. I'm your host, Joel Brown, and I'm here today with Tim Karsliyev, who is the founder of Daily Dose, a massive social media, motivational account media platform that has gained over 1.3 million followers. Tim is an absolute amazing individual. He is an incredible entrepreneur, a digital marketer that has hit the top of the list as number one on Forbes as one of the most influential marketers right now. And he is also featured in the Huffington Post and many other media outlets. So guys, this is Tim. Tim, thank you so much for jumping on the Addicted to Success podcast. It's great to finally have you on here, mate.
Thanks, Joe. Looking forward to it. We've been communicating for a while, but finally we're on the roll.
Yes.
To show people what we got. We're always having conversations. So it could be a great opportunity for people to eavesdrop on our conversations.
Right, man. I always walk away from our conversations feeling really lit up to either jump back into the business or jump into life at a higher level with you. So we get into some deep philosophical conversations around a lot of interesting things. So just to really kick things off, man, what did you have to sacrifice to get to this level of massive success that you've reached online and with your business? Like, what are a few things? Because I know a lot of people right now know there's something they need to remove from their life, but they don't know exactly what it is. And if you could really share your journey, I think that would make you real human, because sometimes we put people on platforms and go, oh, they have millions of followers and all this and that. But like, really, you had a journey, man. I remember you sharing parts of your journey. So what did you have to sacrifice to get to where you are today?
Well, most definitely time was a big sacrifice. I mean, how can you sacrifice time? It's not going anywhere. But I mean, time allocated to other things. Friends, I had to sacrifice friends. Well, I mean, I didn't sacrifice none of them literally, but you know what I mean.
Damn, but that's a racy topic we're going into.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but it's a lot of things, to be honest with you. It was time, energy, effort. When you say sacrifice, I feel like I used certain things up. When people ask me, Tim, how'd you get here? I was like, I was going to sleep when you were waking up. Wow. I sacrificed a lot of my sleep for 2 years. Yep. I was at 5 a.m. typing away, the sun's coming up, and sacrificed a lot of good sleep. I'll tell you that much. And the friends, most definitely, they didn't go anywhere, but that time where you spend going out, having fun and doing things, sacrifice a lot of that stuff. Because, I had a goal to reach. I had a place to get, I had a marker to hit, I had a checkpoint to reach, So I was willing to get there regardless of, all the emotional attachments to certain things and, leaving those things kind of behind and focusing on what's real, what I need to focus on, and getting there. It wasn't easy. But yeah, most definitely time and friends. And I never sacrificed family for anything. So my family's always been around me. But most definitely sacrificed a lot of anxieties too, or put a lot of anxieties on the wall and hung them, because I didn't have time for them.
Right. Hey, man, that makes a lot of sense. I know that feeling. I remember my friends calling me a pussy when I was first building Addicted to Success, because I wouldn't go out to the clubs with them. I wouldn't go out drinking. I was staying in and working on the dream, and nobody around me really understood it. some supported, but most didn't. And it's funny, I was saying in this interview I had recently that now I'm the guy that pays for their drinks when we go out. Now I'm the guy that pays for the bill, and I can do that. And I also come from a very loving place of like, how can I support you? Because I understand that like a lot of people don't know the work and the sacrifices that are required to get to that level of success. So it's good that you've outlined this in this interview.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, there's a lot more, but I mean, that's the most, the crucial thing is as a young entrepreneur who's not married, from my perspective, it was time.
We got a single man
friends,
here.
Hey,
ladies, we got a single man.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had a family, it'd be different sacrifices, but, right now as a single man, it was easier for me, let's say, in some areas compared to a married couple.
Right. So, Tim, you have a massive following on social media in the millions, the multi-millions. How do you monetize this? Like, how do you really build a lifestyle of this?
Well, I mean, number one is reputation, in the business community. You know how you go to school to get a degree, somewhat credibility, here's the person for the job. So I build the first thing I had to do is build an audience, build a reputation, build credibility. And then people were willing to say, hey, we've noticed you've done this. How can we mimic your journey and get there? And obviously good relationships. I like to work with integrity. It's not a short-term game. It's a long-term game we're playing here. So I protected my reputation and make sure I provided what I said I was going to provide. Didn't bite more than I can chew. Did my due diligence to do everything. So just build a reputation around people reaching out to me. It wasn't easy. People had to trust us. But I mean, Joel, I connected with guys like you, remember in the beginning back in the day, 2 years ago, where it was we were all like babies on Instagram. Me, Jason, Steve,
Joe Duncan before 5 a.m. Brad from Build Your Empire. A lot of those boys, yeah.
Yeah, we're all small, building our credibility, putting that positive content out there. I think that's what kind of did. It's been a phenomenal journey, but it was always that one client that trusted you, who was really successful, and then represented you to other individuals saying, hey, Tim did the job right. So then that's why my phone doesn't stop ringing from people saying, hey, we've heard good things about you. We heard your demand for the job. And, did it happen overnight? No, but one person at a time. It always takes that one referral, we'll just say, that one person to reference you, that one person to say, hey, Tim did a great job. And plus I put myself out there saying, hey, I can help you if you're looking for this, Once that happened, people came in, and then I started branding people. So the way I monetize, if people look at my daily dose, they won't see that many shout outs because there isn't any. It all happens in the background where I help brands grow their, there's so much culture involved in the branding these days. But I guess it takes a little bit somebody who's a little insightful of the future, predicting and seeing cultural trends.
Yes.
And so I kind of captured that area of making myself an expert, trying to catch the next trend, next wave, and saying, here's what we need to do to move forward. Here's what we can do for you. Here's how we separate you from the flock. Here's how we make you look different than all the other Vaynerchuk's and Ties and all the cool guys, how we make you look cool too. And we did that with a lot of brands.
That's awesome, man. I remember you posted something recently that says a good reputation is more valuable than money. And I 100% agree with that. I feel like that's the part that a lot of people miss. When you think about it, the way that the future is going, let's say even this industry of entrepreneurship, self-development, motivation, whatever you want to call it, right? Thought leaders, the way that it's moving is that it is going to be harder and harder or more challenging to market yourself, because what is going to require from you is to actually have that reputation where people are speaking about you, not that you're speaking for yourself, because there are so many people speaking for themselves nowadays, trying to market themselves. I was speaking with a guy yesterday who is an incredible guy in fitness, right? He has been in the fitness industry for like 18 years. He knows his stuff inside out, fully certified in many areas. And he said to me, he's like, dude, there are people out there that have jumped into this space for like 2 years. They don't even have a certificate or anything, any degree, and they're just really good at marketing themselves, right? But the quality's not there. And so all you've got left then is like either you get really good at marketing, but you have to under-promise and over-deliver, or you get really good in a space with that good reputation and think evergreen, think long-term, think the long game. Like that's where really the wins are. So yeah, you're holding a good mindset. It's good to hear, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, I plan on doing this for a long time, Joel. And you know this too. If we were here to make a lot of money real quick, we'd make a lot of money real quick and say, hey, peace out, everybody on social media. We're going to go chill in the Bahamas. We don't need the internet, We just took everyone's money. But I mean, we're not here to take everyone's money and go away. We're here to build a legacy. We're here to inspire. We're here to motivate. We're here to help other people come out the same path we are, pioneer some of the paths we have, In our industry, we're pioneers. And you know that too. There's no college degree for this. There was nobody mentoring us on how to do this. We pioneered this whole thing.
Right. Exactly.
It wasn't easy, but hey, the pioneers are never easy. But look how many people are following our footsteps. Look how many motivation accounts are on social media now. Look how many business entrepreneurs are out there. Going back to the marketing things, I've seen people buy courses, Joel, that they don't know anything about and just regurgitate it and create the best marketing version of theirs and sold millions. But they're not the expert in it. They just bought your course, Joel, for example, just did the same thing. Re-recorded all the videos and sold your product as theirs because they're good marketeers.
Right. And this is the thing too that I've discovered in my own marketing with, my masterminds and coaching programs and everything else that we do, that they don't buy what you have necessarily. Some do. Most people buy into who you are, right? Like they want a piece of you. They want a little bit of you to rub off on them because there's something about your mindset. There's something about your lifestyle, something you've been able to do that they can't quite pinpoint what it is or even know the strategy of it or the perspective of it. So they want a little bit of that with you. They want to spend time with you. And so what is important? Working on your character, right? Aligning with your principles and sticking to that and being consistent in that, because that's what people see. They see the safe, the sturdy, the courageous. That's what they want, man. Like so many people aren't confident. I know you, dude. You're very confident. I remember we were hanging out together. We were out in where was the bungalow in Santa Monica?
The bungalows. And
it was funny, man. We're kind of in this moment, and the way you were speaking, and the way you showed up, and the way you just knew what you wanted, and the way you held yourself and carried yourself. I just saw a lot of confidence oozing out of you. How do you maintain your confidence?
Well, I mean, it always comes down to knowing who you are, what your capabilities are what creates insecurities. Right. Knowing that you lack in a certain area automatically makes you kind of be hesitant.
Huh.
Think about it. If someone says, "Hey, Joel Brown, get on the stage," and you've never been on the stage, you lack in that area, it's going to click all the insecurities, all the bad energies, all the bad vibes, like, oh my God, I'm about to faint, But if that's what you're, good at and you've practiced and you're going to walk on stage like a champ, like you already know what you're doing. Insecurities come from a lack, a lack of whether knowing or being educated or having that, whatever it is, So, anybody watching this area, if you're insecure about talking to a girl, it's because you've never really talked to her. If you're insecure about selling a product to somebody because you don't know how to do it, you've never mastered, you don't have experience, you don't have practice. Insecurities, I feel like, come from a position of not knowing, whether it's not knowing how to do it or not knowing what it is that you're doing at all, So in life that I've noticed, that's the way I've been confident, is because I've done those situations so many times. I've walked into massive crowds so many times. I've walked in so many hotspots and learned how to capture the attention, learn how to create that energy where people are attracted to you, and from a good heart too. And people vibe that energy off of you.
Amen.
And position yourself that way.
Yeah.
It's so important to have the right heart in place. Like today I was talking to Patrick Bet David. I don't know if you know who that is.
That's my dude. I love Patrick.
Yeah. So I was talking to him and he said, "Tim, just talking to you for a few minutes, I just realized that you're a genuine person." And I'm like, "Dude, I got nothing to hide from you. I don't need anything from you, I'm just being, I broke down everything in a way like I wouldn't even make $1 off of him." He's like, he's probably never heard anybody do a sales pitch like that to his life. He thought I was probably doing some reverse psychology on him or something, but I was not. I was just being genuine, dude,
Right.
I wasn't trying to manipulate him or anything. I was just being genuine, dude. Here's what we can do. Here's what my friends do for this price, that price. Like literally all the hookup prices. And he was like, "Dude, are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, wow." I've never met anybody who talks. I was like, because I'm confident, because you're going to come back to me. Because me being genuine, you're going to trust me. You're going to want to work with me. It's so important in that area too.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got this topic, but I mean, yeah, being genuine is so important from the heart.
And I 100% agree. I think that the payoff is just so much more when you are in the practice of being real. There's so many people out there that are being fake, and they're being rewarded for being fake. You look all over social media. It's a lot of it's a facade, right? I know a lot of these guys that are. A lot of people say, "Oh, this entrepreneur's a multi-millionaire, or he's got this or that," and really, at the bottom of it all, that person is struggling big time. But the facade is there, right? And so,
yes.
We live in a culture right now where you said before, identity. I mean, it's such a huge thing. It's like people are chasing somebody else's definition of success instead of claiming their own. And the reason why most people do it, and I've just discovered this pretty recently, I'm writing a book right now on vision. A lot of people don't have a vision that lights them up, a vision that keeps them, on the straight and narrow, that gives them direction in their life, that keeps them disciplined. So therefore, what they're doing is they're adopting fragments of other people's visions that sound fancy and cool, and then they're coming up short because they feel like when they finally get to a place of what they think is an achievement, they feel empty because it wasn't for them. It wasn't their God-given gift. It was fragments of other people's, and based off the patchwork of other people's opinions. Their whole life is built off fragments of other people's desires. It's crazy.
Yeah, they're not genuinely who they are. The funny thing is every single one of us has a very unique DNA structure, and every single one has a unique character. If I try to start acting like you, Joel, I'll be out of my place, And guess what? People don't want to hang out with the same people. They want to hang out with unique individuals who have unique characters, who bring something interesting, It's the same thing in business. Nobody wants to have 20 Joels and 20 Tims there. They want to have like all these unique personalities that creates life such an interesting community, So the more we decide to be ourselves and add value in whatever environment we're in with our identity of who we are, people are going to be more prone to be drawn to us. People think like, I got to act a certain way for people to like me. It's not true. Just be who you are. Genuinely. And I'm saying if you need to educate yourself to have a better conversation, be a better socialite, do that. Don't come in there like, I can't say anything. I'm really quiet. My life's interesting. That's it. Don't be a weirdo. Practice, again, in your character. It takes practice. One of the biggest things I do is I sit there every day and think about what did I do right? What did I do wrong today? How can I improve my personality? How can I improve my character? Do I need to talk less? In certain situations, do I need to listen more in these situations? Maybe I shouldn't have said that word. And every day I'm rebuilding my character to become the better, genuine person of myself and being more, professional and being who I am in my skin, not acting like somebody else, but perfecting me, perfecting the way I communicate, perfecting the way I do relationships, seeing where my errors are. And if more people focus on themselves in those areas, Joel, they're most definitely going to develop those skills of being them, not practicing. I could go watch a video and memorize the whole freaking script and come out and act like that person from like a Les Brown speech, but that's not me. But I can go home and spend 2-3 weeks in my room out and about practicing and seeing what's coming out of me, and perfecting that and having that message come out instead of me taking the shortcut of trying to be somebody else.
Right. Totally. On that note, before we forget, I do remember you actually speaking on stage with Les Brown.
Yeah, I did share a stage with Les Brown. Yes.
That would have been awesome. We had Les. I actually spoke with Les about a month back. He's on one of the episodes here on this Addicted to Success podcast. He was incredible. What did you ask him? What did you learn from Les in that conversation that you had with him?
His story alone is so powerful. The energy, once I got there, he like literally hugged me like I was his kid, He literally gave me that big old hug and big old smiles like, oh, Tim, what's up, Just that energy alone of just like, I don't know, the hug was enough, Joel, to be honest with him. Like, It wasn't like I was lacking a hug. I hug everybody, but the man had a different hug, it was the first time meeting him and somebody that, normally, how people hug sometimes, they do like the whole hand out.
Right.
A little bit,
a little bit of distance between the pelvis.
Yeah, but he was literally like, didn't care. We get there, he grabs me real quick, brings me right next to him. He's like, hey, how are you, Tim? How's life? How's life treating you? How's God? And I'm like, good, bro. And he's a Christian fellow too. So it was just great God conversation with him too. The guy is in a position, Les is like in a position in life where I'm not going to say he's fully developed, but he's found out who he is and what he's living for. And you could tell when you talk to him. And that alone inspires you to become who you are, his story about his childhood teacher and his brother and his mom and all that he was going to speak on stage will make you cry. If no one's ever heard of that story, that's a very powerful story. You will never be the same after hearing that story. He had the whole room in standing elevation. Half the people were crying. The other people just couldn't stop, clapping. It was just, but no, Les Brown is he's one of the, like TD Jakes is one of my guys too. Les Brown, TD Jakes, I put him almost in the same category. Very inspirational, God-fearing, motivational speakers who really uplift and encourage people, and that's kind of like where my heart's at too. I want to reach that area.
I feel like you would really vibe with Miles Monroe as well. He's a Christian, like he's a Christian evangelist, speaker, but he is so powerful. Les Brown told Miles Monroe that I think you are an even better speaker than me. That's what Les told him.
Really?
Miles Monroe died a few years back in a plane crash in the Bahamas, which is sad. Very powerful man, and he's good friends, or he was good friends with TD Jakes and Les Brown, and they have that passion, man. They have that soul, and I think that really comes from, like you said, knowing who you are. When you know who you are, the world just moves out of your way, man. Like, it really, I think that, like, when I really tapped into more of who I am and aligned with my vision, things started showing up that I never expected, and they started showing up because I had this certainty about me, and I just walked straight into the room. I went for what I wanted. I asked for what I wanted. And the same thing happens with you when I see you in conversation, when you're negotiating deals or you're looking for ways to help your clients. I've heard you in conversation before, and you just have this, like, you just know what's on your tool belt. So, Tim, what are some tools that you utilize to really develop the success in your business? Like, what are maybe 2 or 3 things that you would say an entrepreneur really needs in their tool belt to succeed in the business world?
Well, like my dad always said one thing to me. He said, your mouth can do a lot more than your hands can. So communication is one of the most powerful things. I mean, from the creation of the world, God said, let there be light, let there be this. Communication's always been a powerful tool. And that's from a Christian perspective. Again, in a human perspective, obviously we communicate every day in our workforces. So your communication skill is going to be one of your most powerful tools there is. Because you know what? If you need someone to write for you, you can always someone to type for you. But when it's time for you to talk, Joel, you got to do the talking, So number one thing, I believe every entrepreneur or any human being who wants to be successful in any area of their lives, whether relationships, business, family, whatever you're doing, communication is number one. If you know how to talk, if you know how to speak, if you know how to articulate your message, you're always going to be ahead of the curve from everybody else, whoever has skills or not. Because communications, we've been fooled by people who could be smooth talkers. You know that. It's a very powerful tool, a very powerful asset. Right. Because women have been fooled by sweet talking guys. Guys have been fooled by business deals by other guys, have been
There's
smooth.
Some venomous vipers out there, dude. You got to be careful.
Yeah, but so communication is one of the most powerful tools. And number 2 to 3, I'd go back and it goes to maybe personality traits. It goes to having integrity and having a value system, because those 2 things will balance your communication. If you have integrity and have a value system, you'll be careful on manipulating and lying. Because once that communication activates, the rest of the work in the back end is whether it's hand labor, mental labor, physical labor, whatever it is you're going to do, some kind of, logistics, whatever it is, you can always organize and do. But those 3 things I think is really important for any person, is having a good communications method, whatever it is, having integrity and having a value system, what you value. Those 3 things you can utilize anywhere in your life, and it goes back to your identity, it goes to your personality traits. But when it comes to communication, it takes practice, Joel. When I was on the phone today, sometimes it's like, it's not pre-planned, it's not like you get on the phone and like, I have a script to read. Hey, Patrick, here's my script. I'm going to read to you and it's perfected. No, dude, the guy could tell if you're bullshitting him, Right. Obviously, if you're gonna deal with the green pea, you know this. If you're gonna deal with the green pea, whatever you say flies. You're gonna deal with somebody who makes $1 billion a year, for example. You better watch what you're saying. So you better be a little more, professional, and better have that better communication outlet that you have set up. So I go back to saying communication is really vital, because our relationship is built on communication. I don't owe you nothing. You don't owe me nothing, Joel. It's the way we show, our communication pattern, whether love, support, encouragement, that's built our relationship. In the same way in everything else in life, except my heart, my background. So it's all coming from the right place. Other people don't know. So when you build that level of integrity and value system, and you communicate that information out the way it's supposed to be, whether in business, relationship, family, friends, you're becoming a very strong, powerful asset. Back in the day, not even back in the day, sometimes, and the audience who's watching this right now probably has realized this too. Sometimes you notice somebody walk in the room and they're being vibrant. They're somehow, this person's shining, like standing out. What is it about him? Obviously, he knows who he is. Number one, he's walking in confidence. He has a value system, which he's probably not going to bend, because you could already tell by his walk and the way he has a style set up. It's predetermined. As soon as he opens his mouth, you could tell everyone's like, who is this person? We want to get to know him. He most definitely has those 3 things in him or her, to have great communication, to have integrity, which creates structure, to have a value system that helps him walk in certain patterns, in life. that's created that energy flow. People say the universe, the energy and all that, but I mean, it's your spirit, man. That's who you are. You build up, you found out who you are, and you're walking in there. Those three things are so important, Joel, having a great communication, because, you can ruin somebody by saying something, or you can build them up. It's worse than like doing other things to people.
Yeah.
So some people say they'd rather have died instead of heard somebody say that. We've heard a lot of those sayings that, oh my God, can you backstab me? And literally, backstabbing doesn't mean you did it. Someone said something, I heard them. So communication is so important.
Right. Yeah, you posted something recently. You said something along the lines of, you deserve the love you keep giving to everyone else, or you keep trying to give to everyone else. And it's true. It's like, hurt people hurt, at the end of the day. And if you really are looking at building, if you're looking at expanding, if you're looking at connecting, it can only come from love. It can't come from any other place. It can't come from greed. It can't come from envy, unrealistic expectations or heavy competition. It has to come from, I genuinely love this person and really want to help them. And that's being of service. How do you give back? What's your biggest way of giving back right now with your business?
The way I give back right now, to be honest with you, Joel, is I communicate with everybody. Like, one person told me, is like, Tim, what the hell? Everybody can get a hold of you. I'm like, yeah, because I'm open source. And I remember you asked me that question, and somebody else asked me a question before about what's your passion? Human beings. I'm passionate about human beings. I love human beings. When I see a smile or something, I know where I was at 2-3 years ago. And before that, of course, I was in the health industry for 10 years. But when I was coming up, nobody wanted to help me. I was like, hey, how do you do this on Instagram? How do you do that? And, we were at the baby stages. Nobody wanted to help. And then I realize now that I've actually gone above and beyond those stages. Now I'm understanding the marketplace. I'm understanding a lot of different things. So when I see someone struggling and they'll send me a message, I'll get on a phone call with them. Like, they're like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. And I'm like, well, I can't believe I'm talking to you. We're having a conversation. So the way I give back right now, I believe one of the most important things, other than money, because you can't help out the poor and do things like that, with my time. I give a lot away with my time. I spend at least 2 to 3 hours a day talking to somebody who's in need of a certain area in their lives and things like that. Kind of like what you're doing coaching, which I would have loved to get reimbursed for my time, to be honest with you, but I haven't had the opportunity to figure that part of the business out. But something like that, like somehow coaching somebody through something,
Right.
Of course, I can't coach everybody. So if everybody's watching the show, with Joel and I, please don't message me. I can't coach 1,000 people. It's going to be impossible. But you know what I mean. Reach out to Joel. That's your man right now. But yeah, I've been giving back with my time right now. Just I think one of the most important things for me, and my time is really valuable. So time. And if you are in need, there's systems out there. We put out Impact Billions. All those cool organizations and business structures we have in place too. Right.
Well, I mean, look, dude, you've built a social media platform that has millions and millions of followers. I remember you creating a course or a program or a mastermind. Can you fill us in on that real quick, just in case people want to find out how they can do what you have done?
Yeah, I did create a course about Instagram. I haven't made it public yet. It was released in a private network, Joel. But if your audience is interested in it, I can help you convey the message. Or it was like $497, to be honest with you. It's a $497 course, but it's not to the public. We haven't opened it. It's been in the closet for about a year, but it's publicly open within a certain network. I haven't brought it out to our side of the industry yet.
Got it. Hey, well, that's an exclusive.
If anybody wants, it would be an exclusive. If the audience watching this, Joel, they're interested, they reach out to. It'd be an exclusive for sure.
Right, and you can follow Tim as well on Instagram. So Tim, Karsliyev. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? It's funny. Yeah. It took me like a good maybe year to get used to pronouncing your name. I was calling you like Karsliyev and Karsliyev and all these. Where are you from? What's your nationality?
So my dad's Greek, my mom's Armenian. I have two warm-blooded. Both of them survived the 1915 World War II. One of my great-grandparents actually passed away in World War II. So, little struggles, humble beginnings.
Tough times.
I'm pretty sure I mean, look how much the world's changed in the last 100 years.
Oh, man. It's progressing, put it that way, in a very interesting way, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, life is good. I can't complain. Life is what you make of it. And, let me say something before we move on. when people see the journey, they think it's easy, but and when it comes back to that, having those traits of personality and character and all that, it actually helps balance you out, because we go up and down every day. My life is not perfect. I'm on sometimes emotional roller coaster rides thinking, why is this not working out? Why is this not working out? We don't have everything figured out. So if you're watching me or Joel or anybody else, we don't have everything figured out. But we found a method to stay solid, to stay consistent, to persevere, to be relentless towards our pursuit. We have our battles every day. I have my battles every day that I go up and down in. It's not easy. But you know what? I break through because I have people like Joel in my life, or somebody I can reach out to say, hey, Tim, what's up, man? Snap out of it. Come on, bro. Look what you did last week. That was phenomenal. It's going to happen again, So that's what we want to be surrounded by, certain people and certain things, and build that strong character of knowing who we are, because that's going to help us ride this wave of life. It's like a surfboard. One wave goes down, you get back on another wave. It's not a straight road where you're just going and going.
Amen, man. Yeah, your association determines your destination.
100%. Remember one of my other quotes: if you hang out with 4 idiots, you're going to be the fifth one.
There's another one. If you put it, what was it? You can't put a crown on a clown and make it a king.
Yeah, you can't put a clown. People have tried, man. But it's a built up.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Joel, it's not easy, bro, and you know it too. Everything we've accomplished, where we are today, 10-year goals, long-term goals, maturity goals. Look, you mature. First, you're in diapers. You're running around. You know what I'm saying? You start to walk a little bit. You're still falling down, Now you're running and you're still falling down. You're making mistakes. You're maturing. You're learning in a whole new different environment. I see my grandparents. My grandparents are still making mistakes. They're 100 years old. You would think they would have figured this out, But they don't. But it's a journey. It's a life. People forget that. They think life needs to be like, straight.
You can learn a lot from old people, man. I'll tell you that. My mom is an aged care nurse. And when I was 6 years old, I used to get dropped off at her work before my dad would pick me up after school. And I'd be there for 3 hours hanging out with like 94-year-olds and 100-year-olds talking about life. And I think it's a great way to stay humble and grounded when you hear like these war stories. You said that your grandparents went to war. You have that inspiration. I mean, it's almost like an advantage, like this motivation. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it too, like the immigrant mentality of like you've come and you know how good it is where you are. You're in America, dude. You're in a land of opportunity. So you know where you came from. And as long as you keep that in your mind and know that like you're representing that lineage and you're going ahead with legacy, there's no excuse to go out there and really take hold of what's in front of you.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. My dad came to this country, to the United States, not knowing a single word.
Right.
And worked and built a house. Got a $500,000 house, which is phenomenal. For a guy who came to this country not knowing, owns a house. Most people in this country don't even own a house. Think about it. Came in and worked hard. He said he was wearing the same pair of pants for 10 years straight. They was patching it up and expanding it out and all that stuff. He's like, you're so fortunate to not know which jeans to wear. Where to eat. My grandma said she used to stand in line to get a loaf of bread. Like, what the heck? I've never heard of that one, like 3 a.m.
Oh, man.
Like, you hear their stories and you're like, what? That's kind of weird,
We are so fortunate. Living in this day and age, so fortunate. Like, you're making money online. You can reach millions of people through your Instagram, through your social.
Yeah.
Our grandparents can't even wrap their heads around that.
No, they're like, what is that? Yeah.
Tim, what would you say has been your greatest achievement in business as an entrepreneur? And what do you believe was the catalyst for that? Like, I mean, yes, mindset, because we talked a lot about the mindset and the character, identity and integrity, but maybe like a move, kind of like a strategy or a step that you took where you had this realization and it broke you through to be able to get to that next level in your business.
Yeah. So one of the main things that I've learned is relationships. And when I say relationships, because when I was in the healthcare industry, nobody wanted to help us. Healthcare is like a piece of pie, and every pie is taken. Think of it this way. There's one baked pie, and every pie is taken. And you're the new guy in town who wants to take someone's pie. Nobody wants to give you their piece of pie. That pie tastes really good. It's grandma's best, or, however you want to look at it. So I realized one thing. I had to build relationships where someone said, oh, here, Tim, would you like a bite?
A crumb.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, of course, in the industry we're in today, people pioneer in new areas and build new trends, new business models, and things like that.
Right.
But when you're coming to a multi-trillion-dollar industry like the healthcare, which is one of the most competitive industries, which is one of the most bureaucratic industries, and the reason I'm using this example because I want people to understand that if you can make it in the healthcare industry, in a certain industries, you can make it in any industry.
Right.
And healthcare was one of the most. It took me 5 years to break in relationships where someone said, "We're ready to give you a contract, Tim." It was like 5 years I was knocking on the same door, trying to get in. And it's all controlled environment. This is not the freedom environment where you're saying, I'm going to go jump off this tree and do a video that's going to go viral because I'm going to fall to my death. This is not that industry. This is like, we don't care if you fall off the tree and die. You're not going viral,
You must have been like a kid. You must have been like a little kid in a candy store when you got into this space that you're in now, because that would have just felt like a dream world to you, stepping into it and going, damn, I've got so many ways and moves that I could pull to really make this happen. So that's good.
Yeah,
man.
it was up. Yeah, now it was up to me to create. Other times, everything I did still depended on other human beings saying, here's my signature.
Right.
Here's, my way in,
Yeah.
And the reason I'm using this example because relationships were so important in this arena. And everything I've achieved today, Joel, I go back and I give credit to my health industry experience. Every corporate dog shit that I've learned, excuse my language, all the horrible ways people treated people that I've learned, and seen, and how to open doors that are closed, how to get into political arenas and make moves. I brought all that to the social media world, and I said, dude, I'm a pro at this shit. I'm going to move around in social media up and down and, cast my net as far as I can and capture as much fish as I want. It was not an issue. Over there, they told me you can only have 2 pieces of fish.
Got it.
1 piece of, it was more controlled. But it was relationships, taking people out to lunches, taking them out to dinners, checking up on them, seeing how you're doing. It's so important. People forget that other people are the ones who give you money.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
people
true.
forget that people give you money. Like, you have to nurture relationships. You have to nurture money. You have to nurture everything. Nurture contracts. Nurture everything.
Yeah, I remember Gary Vaynerchuk saying to me that it's not about how much money you make, it's how you make your money. And it was so deep, man. Like, it's something I definitely needed to hear. I was always about like impact in that, but really it was just a reminder of like not falling into the trap of trying to play the game like so many other people are playing. And what I do remember, Gary, so like I would meet with a lot of these guys that I interview and, meet at events that I speak at. People like Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, Jordan Belfort a good 7 years ago when I was mentored by him. And so every single one of these guys kept saying to me, man, it's like, and I'm sure there's so many people here that can relate, and even you, Tim, where you're told the same thing over and over and over and over, and you're almost bypassing it because you're like, that's the unsexy, uncool thing. I don't want to do that. You're trying to look for everything else. But they kept saying sales, 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 like pick up the phone, meet at the coffee shop, like, be there and be in front of their faces and deliver value. And I kept hearing it by like all these guys that are crushing it. But I kept trying to bypass it to go to other things. And a good maybe 2 years back, I finally launched the course. I put application system out, and people were applying, and then I would call them on the phone. I had like a 6-figure week in the matter of it was like maybe like 8 days. So it was just over a week. 6 figures, man, in like 8 days. And I was like, interesting. Right? Because I was having multiple 6-figure years, but it took me a year to get there. Then I had a 6-figure week. I was like, interesting. But really what it was the sales, man. And it was also all of that relationship investment that I had made for so many years that I didn't know was just sitting there waiting for me to collect. People were coming, man, and saying, yes, because I delivered so much value and cared for so long that they were like almost waiting for me to put something out. I just needed to get on the phone with them and show them that I actually do care. Even though you can see on the surface I care, it's like getting in conversation and hearing the words that someone's saying and knowing that they care, and that makes such a difference. And it does. You'd say the same thing for you too, man. Like, man, that sales is really the thing, right? Like, no money moves until money comes in. And I have people all the time that talk to me and they're like, they're struggling with a part of their business. And they're always looking at like saving. How do I save? And I said, dude, saving's not your problem. It's sales. How do you make more? But do it in the right way. so you can give more back, so that you don't have to stress. So you can actually build a business based off what you really want, instead of building a business because you're stressing about money and you needing to make money. So,
well, I mean, look at in the social media industry, like the 3 C's, you know, click, capture, convert, you know, look, hook, took.
It's so robotic, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's just straight up, you know, click, capture, convert. You know, you want to get people to engage you by the message you're portraying, you know what I'm saying? You want to capture their attention by whatever message is in there. If it's a click, you want that, whatever you create, to convert somebody into a client. And it goes same thing with relationships and mentality. And this is maybe what we're talking about right now. What I just said, maybe is put from somebody who's trying to do some sales on social media or on Facebook ads and things like that. But you're right. Without sales, you're never going to succeed. Every major corporation today, including Apple, Facebook, Google, they all have a powerful sales force, Joel. People talk about, oh, I want to have a business in the cloud. I'm like, sure you do. You're not going to be a $1 billion company like Apple or anybody else. You need to have a brick and mortar sales team in a location that specializes in something. So anybody out there telling you they're going to be a billionaire, unless they're, even PayPal has a sales team. I'm just, you know, they're in the cloud.
Right.
Everybody, if you're watching this and you think you're going to have a $1 billion company, maybe there is one I haven't thought of yet. But if there's a $1 billion company out there that you know that doesn't have a powerful sales force at some remote location, making phone calls or doing things, you're not going to be there. Every company needs that.
Yes.
There's a limiting. You're not your only sales force either. You're not going to sell 5,000 cars in a month if you had a dealership, for example. You need a team.
Good luck. Unless you're Grant Cardone.
Yeah, Grant Cardone makes a phone call, man, and like 10 people buy a car. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is, Joel. I've noticed the sales. And that's one thing actually I've been lacking in myself in that area, is I'm an independent sales force. Because you know what? I'll tell you why. And a lot of people might be at the stage right now too. Because right now I'm in a position of nurturing my brand, creating a reputation. So I'm careful. I don't want some, you know, Rico Suave guy making phone calls on the behalf of my brand and like ruining relationships. So I'm really careful on how I nurture the next 5 years of my company and how we establish our relationships and build that, you know, credibility and integrity in the business. But after that, of course, I'm going to have a powerful sales team in place to help take my business to the next level. You know, you mentioned Jordan Belfort. You know, he came out with a cologne that's not even in the marketplace, and I might be the one running the whole show for him. And guess what? If I didn't have that reputation, Jordan Belfort's boys down in the UK would never contact me, Joel, which blows my mind away, saying, how are you guys getting my numbers? You know, how are you guys getting my phone number? It's that reputation from one person is so important for you to have a good reputation, whether in sales or whatever it is you're doing. Just be a good person.
Yep.
Of course, being nice, sometimes you lose, but hey, guess what? You'll win a lot more than you lose. Believe me.
Amen to that, brother.
You know.
So Tim, we've talked about the mental, the emotional, and the physical. Let's go into the spiritual before we wrap up this call.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite part.
I know it is, and that's why we're going into it. So you're a man of faith, and so am I, and we have some really incredible conversations around this. But what I do find is that a lot of entrepreneurs that are of faith, they have this kind of, I don't know if you call it like spiritual guilt or something like that, where they feel like they can't kind of have it all because they have to just walk in faith. So how do you kind of balance that? How do you stay in faith in your business, and how does your faith play a part in your business?
Well, I mean, number one, I know I'm a human being, you know. Of course I make mistakes, you know. Sometimes you scream, say something I shouldn't say. I know I'm human. And I know the creator of the universe understands that, because he created it this way anyway, you know. But that's not no reason for me to act like a fool or anything. But the balance I have is basically just knowing that, you know, that I have a dad figure, you know what I'm saying? And my dad loves me regardless of who I am. And I know I can go back to him, not saying like, hey, I got to stay away from you, dude. You know, I screwed up. How can I go home and face my dad type of thing? No, I know I can go home any day, even after doing what I did, and talk to my dad about it, you know?
Right.
Having that open relation. Yeah. Understanding that is really important. And of course, some people are insecure about sharing their faith and all that is because they're playing two roles, you know?
You're vocal about it. You are very vocal.
Yeah.
I see it on your Instagram account, and you don't shy away from it. What do you believe has really, like with your faith, what do you believe has really been a great element, or even like a powerful part of your faith that has really helped you to propel as an entrepreneur in this space?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me a few years ago, Joel, is like I grew up in a very conservative Christian family, like super conservative. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, hell no, you shouldn't be at the for example, at the club, or you shouldn't be having that beer type of thing. You shouldn't be in a relationship because you know what's going to happen. Don't bring a girl over, for example. You know, like super conservative, and all the other religious jargons that comes along with it. You know, that there's all the weird. I call it the weird Christians. You know, the weirdos. It's kind of weird, dude. You know,
Right.
I had I had a stressful time in my life when I was in the healthcare industry, and it made me go back and break down my whole belief system. Like literally, what do I believe in? Why do I believe in? Is this real? Is this fake? What is this stuff? You know? And what I realized was that my identity had been altered. I didn't know who I was in my faith and being who I am. So it goes back to identity. So the reason I have been successful at what I'm doing, it is number one, through God's grace, of course, a lot of human effort and a lot of energy behind it, but you know, there's been favor over my life, but it's because I started to identify myself with who I am and who my dad is. For example, if I know my dad's the king, obviously I'm a prince. You know what I'm saying? If I know my dad's pretty rich, obviously I have access to money, you know? If I know my dad has a car, hey, Dad, can I use your car? You know what I'm saying? So I realized all the things I have because of him, you know? Not all the things I lack.
Right.
So I started walking in that. Yeah, so I started walking in the identity of that, knowing that I'm a son, I'm favored. I know that every door I knock will open up. I know every seed I plant will grow. You know what I'm saying? I know that mercy and favor will follow me everywhere I go, you know? I know that every promise under heaven and earth is given to me. So I started walking that identity. Then I noticed that every door I'm knocking is opening up. Somehow walking in a business meeting, I have favor. Like for some reason, they like me more than another competitor. I don't know what it is. I wasn't as better looking or better communicator, or maybe didn't have better style than them, you know? Somehow I'm getting a lot more better favored than anybody else was. And that's the reason that all worked out that way, you know? And I noticed it was an identity crisis. Once I realized who I was, it opened up. You could say the universal, people say the universe opened up to me, you know, but I know that I opened up into my identity, into who I am, and started walking in confidence and all that. And that's how I've been winning. If people want to know how Tim's been winning his industry, is by identity. And that's why I told you the other day that the world is not having no other crisis other than identity crisis, because people don't know what to do, who to become, who they are. They're so confused, and I don't want to get into like all the different things that might offend some people, but they're so confused in knowing who they are personality-wise. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They're confused because they don't know who, like, if you don't know where you come from, you're going to be thinking, like, where do I come from? You know, what am I doing? Where's my goals? Ambitious. Where's my heart, you know? So once I realized who I was and kind of where it put me on a better, like, footpath on life and better decision-making, because I know life is short. I'm only here for a short period of time. And I know I have a goal and a purpose in life. And here's what it is, because now I know who I am. If you're going to take 100 years to figure out who you are, oh my God, you'll be dead by then.
Right.
How many is this, you know?
We spend the first half of our life learning things, and then the second half undoing most of it to simplify and go back to the basics and go back to the origins of like what we have discovered, right? It's interesting life in itself, man. It's like we think we got it all worked out, and then all of a sudden we come across something new. We're like, nope, didn't know everything.
Yeah, and that's where I came up with, Joel, you know, when I said when you say you didn't know everything, this is where I came up with the quote that says, your imagination is your only limitation. Because, you know, everything, you know, whoever's watching this right now, and including, you know, you and I, is that we have forecasted our future according to what we can predict the possibilities, you know? You're saying, oh, I could sell 10 million copies of that book or 20 million. You could see that happening. It's a realistic goal. It could really happen. But guess what? When I came to the position in my life where I was forecasting that way of what my success looked like the ultimate success that I thought, like, hooray, pop 3 bottles, you know, for example, God, every time, the creator universe always blew my mind away and said, oh, that was just limited thinking, Tim. Let me show you what I got for you. And I was like, yeah, and I was there like, oh, shit, what just happened, dude? I did not see that coming. And that's when it comes back to the identity thing, Joel. We are spiritual beings going through a human experience, not human beings going through a spiritual experience. People forget that. And a lot of things on this planet, it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Earth floats in the middle of the air, you know? Like, there's divine interaction in our life. There's a lot. Sometimes we need that miracle in our lives, you know? So even though you're starting a business, you're doing everything the way you're supposed to do it, and you're like, why are things not working out? I'm doing the same thing, X, Y, Z. Sometimes you need that extra favor over our life. I'm not saying God's like hocus pocus and he's going to make a boom, you know, let's hook up Stacy or Tim, you know? But you need that positive energy, supernatural, spiritual life, connection to God and the universe that brings favor, opens doors for you that are closed. Some doors are closed, one open, and you need that divine intervention. How many times do we have to ask a friend to ask another friend for a favor? For example, hey bro, can you talk to so-and-so for me? I'm not saying it's that remedy, but it's almost like in the spiritual world, it's like almost someone else is opening that door for you, It's helping you access that. That was your kickoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've noticed that for my life is I've realized that, some things in my life I can't explain. I've had miracles after miracles. And if people go back and look at their own lives, they'll realize their whole life's a miracle too.
Dude, I've seen so many prayers answered. I've witnessed so many miracles before my eyes. I've witnessed the dark side of life, the good side. For me, it's undeniable, as you know. I love it, dude, and it takes a lot of trusting and believing as well. And sometimes we ask for something and then it doesn't show up, and then you've got to understand that sometimes there's these course corrects. We can do only so much in the space, and the rest of it we do need to leave up to that spiritual space. And it's funny, it took me a long time as a type A personality entrepreneur. I liked to control everything, but I had to also, once I witnessed so much in the spiritual space, I then had to realize it isn't just all me. There's something else going on here too. And you either partner with it or you go against it, right? And I was partnering with the light of it all. And my life has shifted in so many ways. So I can hear the shift in your voice. I can hear the passion behind it, the faith in you. And it's just so awesome to see, man. Dude, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast. We need to wrap this one up. I got to bounce to a mastermind session. But just before we wrap up this call, I wanted to ask you, where can we find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Daily Dose or Tim Karsliyev, TimKarsliyev, or on Facebook, same places, same thing. So I just kept it simple. But social media would be the best one. And if you guys are going to be messaging me, message me on Facebook Messenger, please. It makes it a lot more easier communication for me. Just if anybody's watching this, they want to reach out.
Awesome, Tim. Thanks so much. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you, dude. Blessings upon blessings. Thanks a million. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you this one last question that we end every interview with. And the question is, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
My last 30-second speech would be almost like a selfish speech. It would be more like it's almost like when Paul said, I ran the course, I kept the faith, and I did it, but it'll be more like the entrepreneur version. I did everything possible in life. I experimented. I tried things out, of course, in appropriateness. I gave it my all. And when I lay there and pass away, I want to be like, I used up every inch of this body to do whatever, every energy, every blood, everything that I've had, my sweat, to really give it max to life, whether to good times, to family, to relationships. I unconditionally loved. I unconditionally helped, I gave it all. Because when I die, believe me, we're not taking nothing with us. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm going to say, I'm happy I made $100 million, peace out, y'all. It's not beneficial. But, I told my buddy Joe, I said, when I die, I want to sit there and tell you, hey, bro, I did everything. I have no regrets in life. I went broke. I made some money. I went broke. I made some money. I went broke. I made some money. But guess what? I had the hell of a ride. It was the best ride of my life. Just, max out your life. Max out the life that God's given you. Don't hoard it, Don't be scared. You got nothing to lose. We're all going to die anyway.